Well, it's late Friday night, I have the apartment to myself, and I thought it would be a perfect time to review this absolute beast of a fragrance. This one is a little bit confusing. Is it an aromatic fougere? Is it a chypre? Although it takes aspects of both of those styles, I've come to the conclusion that this is just a barely describable olfactory experience. Does it live up to its name? Stick around to find out. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Another Nishane here tonight. This one is probably one of the most challenging fragrances I've ever had the pleasure to experience in my entire fragrance journey thus far. This is totally just a different level in terms of animalic power. And even for me, it's quite shocking, especially at the very beginning. I can't wait to get into this gem of a fragrance with you guys. So just a disclaimer here right at the beginning, this is the opposite of blind buy material here. This fits easily within my list of top 5 most animalic fragrances I've ever experienced. Actually, another one from Nishane also makes that list. That's Musica Oud, which I don't actually own. I don't know that I would even pick that one up, to be honest with you guys. But the point is, this one here is just super no holds barred animalic raw power. So I'm gonna get started right away with the presentation here. I don't actually have the full presentation. I don't have the box, but it's a 30 milliliter size bottle, and trust me, that's all you're going to need. The bottle itself looks like most of the other Nishane bottles. It's a square shape, but where it differs from most of the Nishane bottles is the cap. As you can see, the cap just comes right off here. It's a golden cylinder, very flimsy, made of plastic. It's a, really low quality cap, honestly. But as always, it's what's on the inside of the bottle that counts. And on the front here, Unutamam Nishane Lisboa. Unutamam is Turkish for I shall not forget, or I will not forget. And for those of you who don't know, Nishane bottles have the name of a city on the front. So the idea is that the fragrance inside the bottle takes some sort of inspiration from the city. So the nose, the perfumer behind this fragrance, Miguel Matos, hails from Lisbon, Portugal. And I guess he took some sort of inspiration from his city, I'm thinking, and he created this beautiful, well, challenging, let's say, fragrance for us here. So for those of you who don't know, Nishane is actually like my favorite niche fragrance house, one of my favorite houses in general. And in another video of mine where I review Patchouli Koja from Nishane, I go in depth into the house. I go over some really cool information. So if you want to actually learn more about the house of Nishane, please check out my video review of Patchouli Koja. I'm gonna post the card right up here. So anyway, continuing on with this fragrance, let's get the review out of the way. Actually, I'm gonna be totally frank with you guys. I'm wearing another fragrance today, and I kind of just don't want to put this one on right now. This one requires a lot of thought before you put it on, and although I am home alone right now, I still would just rather continue to enjoy the final dry down of the fragrance I'm currently wearing, which is Molten Brown Dark Leather EDP, by the way. So this is what I get out of this fragrance here. In the opening, rosemary and mint. In the mid, it's oregano, jasmine, and carnation. And in the dry down, I get some castoreum, caramel, and a little bit of oak moss. So in the opening, we're absolutely blasted with rosemary and mint. So the rosemary is gonna give this a very savory, very aromatic, slightly piney characteristic. You also definitely get like a general spice to this one. And there's some mint. It's a very sharp, very raw mint. Like if you take a fresh mint leaf and, rub it through your fingers like that, that's kind of what you get here. Raw, piercing mint and rosemary in the beginning here. It is shocking. This is a shocking opening. Just off the cap, the last time I sprayed this was a week ago. It's still coming off the cap here as though I had just sprayed it on 30 seconds ago. It's a strong fragrance. In the mid, I get some oregano. The oregano is gonna add even more savory spice, although this one here is a little bit more savory than the rosemary, and that initial pine characteristic from the rosemary is dying down a little bit towards the mid. Also get some jasmine. So it's a slightly floral accord going on in the mid here, and it's definitely got that indolic dirtiness that jasmine is known for. Although the jasmine in this is definitely not the main player in the mid. Instead, I get more of that oregano, and there's also some carnation. So it's a minty creaminess. The initial piercing raw mint of the beginning is gradually starting to get creamier as we approach the midlife of the fragrance here. And I think that's going to be coming from the carnation. And in the dry down here, it just continues to develop and become even more interesting with that castoreum. It's like a very dry, very dirty leather accord. It's very animalic. It's got maybe even a touch of smokiness to it or some charred wood kind of thing. And you know, it's mixed with some caramel. The caramel in this one is not overly sweet. It's like a burnt sugar, but it doesn't smell, you know, like synthetic burnt sugar like a lot of Middle Eastern budget fragrances, just for example. This is a very well done burnt caramel accord in the bottom here. It is really on another level, probably the best caramel note of any fragrance I've ever smelled, honestly. And we get a little bit of oak moss in the dry down here, not a whole lot, but it adds a damp kind of earthy woodiness with just even a slight bit of freshness even. Very interesting fragrance here. It's a challenging fragrance. It's a really challenging fragrance. You know, honestly, in the beginning, the combination of the spices and the carnation and the mint really gives me the impression of black licorice, all right? So, although you can smell each note individually, you know, like I mentioned, if you were to just kind of like spray this on your skin and wave your hand around in the air, you know, 10 feet in front of your face, what you're gonna smell is like black licorice, honestly. It's a really interesting combination of notes. I don't know if they actually fit very well together, to be quite frank with you. This is a very experimental, abstract fragrance. But at the end of the day, what I get in the beginning, just in general, is black licorice. Really minty, really spicy, really strong black licorice. And in the dry down, I think the mixture of the castoreum and the caramel, and to a lesser extent the oak moss, gives me an impression of a cigar, of like a burning cigar. There's a tobacco-y kind of feeling here, a little bit of a dirty, charred tobacco, animalic thing going on here, a richness to it as well. I definitely get reminded of like a Cuban cigar that's been sitting in an ashtray for a little while here. So the first half of the fragrance, we could say, black licorice that dries down into, you know, a half-smoked Cuban cigar. Really weird combination, and I love it. But you're probably not gonna like it. And you know what? Most of the people around you, most of the people you've ever met in your entire life will probably hate this. And they'll probably hate you if you wear this around them. This is, in my opinion, purely for like diehard fragrance collectors, which describes me, honestly. I love rare and, you know, weird colognes. This is albeit a challenging fragrance even for me. I will admit that it has a place in my fragrance collection. I don't wear it often, but I do wear this sometimes. But I will say though, it is like seriously powerful. This stuff is on another level in terms of just power and animalicness. Now, you know, although it does have castoreum, right? It does have castoreum, which is known for being a very dirty animalic note in fragrances. The castoreum, I feel, is not really what makes it super powerful and honestly overpowering. I really think it's the combination of the spices, you know, mixed with a little bit of that castoreum in the background that pushes it over the edge. This is like spiciness to the extreme in the beginning here. Now, it definitely has characteristics of aromatic fougere fragrances. It's got some, you know, creamy carnation. It's got some aromatic notes, the rosemary and the oregano here. It's got some pine as well. Oak moss, a little bit of oak moss in the dry down. You know, in a certain universe, I could see people being reminded of classic aromatic fougères in this. But it's like, you know, the base of an aromatic fougere with an entire city of other animalic notes built on top, let's say. And it also draws inspiration from, you know, the chypre genre. So it's got some leather, it's got some moss, it's got a dryness to it as well. So, you know, definitely takes inspiration from aromatic fougères and chypres, and it just completely takes them on an experimental journey. This is a weird fragrance, a very unique fragrance, and to me, it's very special. It's a really beautiful fragrance, hard to wear. You know, like I said, I think you're gonna have a very difficult time finding someone who's actually gonna enjoy the smell of this. I think it takes years of fragrance experience to be able to begin to appreciate a fragrance like this. But I'm here to review it because I really like it. And, you know, I know there are people out there, some of you guys, who enjoy fragrances like this. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. All right, so gonna get into the performance now. The performance on this is just crazy. I don't even know. This projects like across the room for at least 2 hours, probably more than that. It's like beyond an arm's length. You can smell this across a room if you spray this on. You need to be very careful with this one. And I don't say that lightly. I'm the type of person who likes to overspray, right? I'll wear Sauvage Elixir to the office. Mind you, I'll spray on about 5 sprays an hour before I get to work, you know, spray it on in my house, get on the train. By the time I get downtown, you know, the scent has died down a little bit, but still I'm an oversprayer. This is one of the very few fragrances that even I would not dare to overspray. This one is an absolute bomb. I've gone over the projection. The longevity on this is like beyond 24 hours on your skin. And on clothes, I would imagine it would be even longer. But the thing about this one is it's a very dark fragrance. Like literally the juice is very concentrated and dark. This will stain your clothing. Be very careful. Do not spray this on clothing, skin only. So like, I don't even think I have to go over the versatility, but you know, there's always the odd person out there who would maybe consider wearing something like this to work. And I would say, yeah, this is a great fragrance for the office if you want to get fired. But no, on a serious note here, don't wear this to the office. This has very, 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 very low versatility. In fact, I don't even really know when I would wear this. Honestly, I have to be in the mood for it. And tonight, first of all, I'm wearing another fragrance and I'm just not ready to have my olfactory senses blitzed tonight. So I'm not wearing this one. But you know, home alone, maybe going for a walk at night if you're gonna be like in a park or something, some open area. I don't know, if you're gonna be spending time with other fragrance enthusiasts who love this style of fragrance, yeah, sure, there's, you know, you can find an appropriate occasion for it. What I'm saying is it's very difficult to find an appropriate occasion for this one. And the next part of this is the price. You know, for a Nishane, although it is only 30 milliliters, it's quite an inexpensive offering. So for example, Fragrance that has this for like 75 US, again, that's for 30 milliliter bottle. And here in Europe, Perfumeria Comas has this one for 135 euros, but keep an eye out, my friends here in the European Union, keep an eye out for this one because I have seen this one as low as like 90 euros on certain websites at certain times of the year. So I'm just saying you can get this for much cheaper than 135 euros if you just wait a bit and keep browsing. 30 milliliter bottle, Nishane was taking a risk in manufacturing and releasing this one. It is absolutely not one of their high sellers, but on the other hand, it's been out since 2019 and it hasn't been reformulated. And in fact, a lot of the websites that I follow seem to get this restocked, you know, a few times a year. So as far as I know, it's still being produced, which is interesting to me. It's interesting to me. Maybe the fact that this is being offered at a lower price helps the sales. I don't know. It's interesting here because it's certainly not a money maker for Nishane. But anyway, lives up to its name, Unutamam, I will never forget. This is an absolutely unforgettable fragrance experience. It's an unforgettable fragrance. One that you need to be quite cautious with, if I do say so myself. But anyway, guys, that has been my review of Unutamam by Nishane. Be careful with this one, guys, and until next time, keep it real.